Okay, well, apparently I set off a hailstorm with my last video about the legal issues between Ancestry and the National Records of Scotland. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. So a lot of you have asked, what right does Ancestry have to request Scotland's genealogical records? Unfortunately, the answer is the law. So let me break it down a little bit. When the UK was part of the EU until 2020, they adopted the EU's public sector information regulations. Now, these laws were basically established to prevent governments from creating a monopoly. PSI laws directly state that government organizations have to allow other companies to access their historical records, even for commercial purposes. And even though the UK left the EU in 2020, those PSI laws are still in the books, which basically, under PSI laws, yes, Ancestry does have a legal right to request these records. However, there are contingencies, and that's why it is having to go to litigation. So I did want to explain this a little bit more because I'm not advocating for a boycott of Ancestry, and their preservation efforts have actually done a lot of good. However, I don't agree with this one. I don't feel like any of the records should be forcibly taken. I just don't feel like that's a good business model. I don't feel like that's good for future partnerships. But at the same time, I do want to be clear that I'm not just inherently against them. I just disagree with this particular case. And if there is a choice as to who gets to make the money off of it, well, then my vote is for the NRS because it's their records. Also, if you want more information and updates on this case, as well as ways to support the NRS, then follow along because I'm going to share more of that later. Also, if you want to know how England and Wales have avoided these circumstances, even though they too are in the UK under the same PSI laws, then make sure you check back and follow along because I am going to go into that as well. And if you've got any other thoughts or questions, just drop them in the comments.